Welcome back. You're still watching Perspective, and we're talking about Rohingyas. But now, let us change to another topical subject, Papua. That's more related to us in Indonesia. First of all, what do you think about the most recent development that has been happening in Indonesia regarding Papua?
Yeah, let me answer it this way. You know, essentially the government's policy on Papua is profoundly broken. You know, we've seen the government essentially isolate Papua from foreign media scrutiny, from international organizations' access, which has done two things. The first thing, it has allowed the and also they have allowed the security forces on Papua to have essentially free reign.
Impunity.
So impunity. So what we have this situation in which Papua has become this pressure cooker of abuses that go unreported, unaddressed, and feed local resentment. So we flash forward to today. You know, the President Widodo's government has announced that it has prioritized addressing the problems in Papua, which we applaud. And we saw this initiative announced in recent days that the government is going to open up Papua to foreign media. We think that is great rhetorically. It is a great expression of intention, but we are concerned that we don't have any details in terms of how the government is actually going to allow this to happen. Like, let's be honest. Papua has this decades-long culture within the government and security forces to view foreign outsiders with suspicion as foreign spies. So foreign journalists who go there are traditionally greeted with suspicion, harassment, intimidation, surveillance. Now, if the government has announced that foreign journalists can go there freely and they encounter the same types of harassment, intimidation, surveillance that they have in previous years, it's going to be a profound disappointment and embarrassment for the government, because they've said that Papua is open. So we're waiting for the black and white, you know, on paper directive that says exactly what journalists' rights and obligations are to go to Papua.
Okay. Once again, like you said, it's been going on for decades. You won't be able to change it in a jiffy like that. There will be resistance. There would be, I'm not naming sides or name, but the president will meet some resistance in that sense. But what can the media, for example, do to help push it?
Yeah, I think the first thing is that foreign media based in Jakarta should take advantage of the government of President Widodo's assurance that Papua is open, and they should go to Papua. They should go to Papua and they should test the waters. I think that would do two things. It would draw attention. It would draw attention to what's going on in Papua. It would also be a way to test how the local authorities and security forces are responding to this, and then the government can fine-tune where there might be problems in terms of implementation. Because you're right, this is going to require a paradigm shift. This is a culture shift in Papua, and it's going to take some time. So the government needs to be proactive in terms of identifying how can we avoid these problems or mitigate them. And we haven't really seen anything like that. All we've heard is them saying it's open.
It's also a question of coordination, and we're not really good at that. I mean, so many sides are involved. It's not only the local government, it's also the military, intelligence, foreign affairs, whatever, you name it, they're all there. And so it will take time, I think. I'm not, how hopeful are you that this will more or less start to really be open?
Yeah, we're optimistic. You know, again, we see this as an expression of intent. We don't see a real black and white policy that's based in directives or regulations yet. We are concerned that a day after President Widodo announced the opening of Papua to foreign media, the Minister of Law and Security said, it's not open. They still need to register. They still need to be screened. So what we've been pressing the government is clarify what people have to do. Do they need a Surat Jalan to go there? Or is it really totally free and open? Because again, if foreign journalists start going and encounter problems, and that's what the reports will be about. The reports will be about, they said Papua was open, instead all I got was intimidation, harassment, surveillance. Where is this policy? So they need to address this proactively in order to reduce or prevent some of these issues.
During the Jokowi's last visit, when he announced that, there was also one thing that was noticeable was the release of 5 Papuan prisoners, political prisoners, let's say, prisoners of conscience. 5, not much. There are 60, 90 then?
There are dozens of political prisoners in Papua.
Does that seem also as just a symbolic gesture first, or how do you interpret that?
We see it as a hopeful first step in the sense that it recognizes in a very public way, number one, Indonesia has political prisoners, and a progressive democracy such as Indonesia should not have political prisoners. We are past that era of political prisoners. And the second thing is, it's a small step. 5 prisoners who were released on clemency, which required them to admit guilt in some way. We have the rest of the political prisoners in Papua, to a large extent, including Philip Karma, who is the symbolic leader, refused to do so. They consider themselves, and the United Nations recognizes Philip Karma as a political prisoner, a prisoner of conscience. They are not going to admit guilt to something which they are not guilty of. So the government needs to take more innovative steps in terms of providing what's known as amnesty for these prisoners, which means that they don't have to admit guilt. And now that requires the government to consult Parliament. It requires political discussions, but it's something that is feasible, and hopefully the government is in the process of working out the details of how that can happen. Our greatest disappointment will be that the government essentially releases these 5 people and checks the box and goes back to business. And we hope that isn't the case.
Right. And do you think that it will help a lot in the question, in sort of appeasing the tension there?
I think it would be, releasing the political prisoners in Papua would be hugely symbolic. You know, this is a situation which for decades has really festered. There is growing resentment amongst the people. The political prisoners are this focal point of popular discontent about a government that they feel is abusive and doesn't listen to their concerns. So it would be a good way of really putting teeth into President Widodo's expressed intention to prioritize Papua, to sort of have a Papua 2.0 policy change that addresses some of the abuses and issues that have caused this problem. What the government needs to avoid is the mistakes of previous governments, which is essentially this idea that the government can spend its way to stability in Papua, that directing more money, more development, more infrastructure is going to fix the problem.
And then keep quiet.
Exactly. It goes into a black hole. It doesn't address the key issues, which are freedom, the ability for redress, freedom of association and expression, these types of issues.
Okay. We have to break again. See you in jiffy. Bye-bye.